Opposition groups have claimed the Emirate has begun executing political dissidents en masse. Federation and Republican forces have repeatedly accused each other of both barbarism and significant humanitarian gaffes. However, this is the first time that first-hand reports are overwhelmingly giving credit to the sustainability of the Northern Powers' claims.
Say hello to the new face of the UMFA. You'll notice that this list is vastly different from anything you'll find in Blitz. That's right, this is the alpha rules for the new Blitz system. And the ESE is shoring up against that UMFA aggression with two lists that you will likewise never find in a typical Blitz army list right now. A lot has changed in this new version of the rules, and as a matter of fact, everything is very hard to find now. We spend a long time trying to figure out the scenario and how to set things up. We opt to go with the easiest system that we possibly could run the system under, and we do the default scenario. It's a lot like Flames of War in my mind, where you set up some objective points across the map, and then you're supposed to move your gears up to it, be within 6 inches of it to claim it, and when you do, that is yours. I do believe the game ends on turn 5 in a typical game. Afterwards, you just tally up how many points you have at the end of it all. It's pretty straightforward. But as you'll see, this is actually going to spend a long time. A good half of the Batrep is spent on turn 1 as we try to figure out the rules. It didn't really help that I hadn't read the alpha rules recently, and I had slept since then, and neither had he. Nonetheless, we went through the rules, we went through it step by step. He activates first, having won the initiative, and uses a quirk within his army list. Since you now activate by squad, he gets to move his entire army right now in the beginning, and then I have to move my entire army. Or alternatively, because his army setup is vastly different from mine, he has 1 squad versus my 2. If I win the initiative and go first, I move 1 squad, and then he moves his entire list, and then I move my other squad. And since he won initiative, he chose the left side of the board to defend, and he moves his gears forward into easily defendable positions, setting them to stand by and brace for orders. And right out the gate, the Grizzlies start opening fire on the GP cadre that is in the town, and manages to do very little damage to it. This is a new change in the new alpha rules, that it seems like indirect fire has gotten just a little bit of a nerf. It's still incredibly effective, but it's not quite the game changer that it used to be. Nonetheless, the southern strategy is to move the GP squad with the CO up the street in the center of the board, while the southern cadre, the strike cadre, begins moving through the open, taking advantage of the defilade that the woods provide to allow them to advance onto the entrenched northern position. Thankfully, that woods was actually rather large, because that would have left the ESC rather flat-footed right out of deployment, because they would have been shot at, and that would have been very bad. Direct fire in the alpha rules is still just as lethal as ever, which places the impetus on the south to get aggressive. In the alpha rules, there are a lot of traits such as agile, which allows you to carry limited cover even if you're in the open, and the shield has also become quite useful in this game. So the south is now going to have to get aggressive. We can't sit around in this open area down there, because we couldn't possibly hold on to that rocky outcrop by itself. We're going to get into his face, allow the strike cadre to go forward, do what it does best, and just make a mess of things out of the northern line. The Drake, however, is awesome in this new set of rules, as it braces for its shot, which is a change in the alpha rules, gives it a better shot, opens up with the HRP, and then just lands a whole rocket pack full of hate into the gears that are hiding behind the building in the middle. And as the rockets rain in, it's effective fire as the gears duck, cover, and do everything that they can, crippling the hunter that managed to stick his head out and doing quite a bit of damage to the Jaguar that is right next to him, giving the North something to consider, while the Drake is just acting all imposing out there, just raining all kinds of hell. Now, it's important to change how skill and command points work. The Naga, or at least the Naga turned Drake, now has a skill point floating around with him, so does the 2IC in the Black Mamba, and that allows them to re-roll for themselves. It's like an extra command point that they get for themselves, and in this case, this fire with the HRP turns out to be devastating as he lands the shot over there on the other end, and he just can't seem to do anything about it. This is a difference in our command style. As he picked one squad with one leader, he now has one leader to distribute all his command points and rerolls around. And it is an action to be able to make a comm event to go tell them to do something. So if he's not within auto comm, which is 6 inches, the commander has to get on the radio to go get the command point rechecked for that other fellow. And this proves to be devastating. And for the South, I keep the commander up close and personal with the gears that he intends to motivate to move forward. And I love that about the new rules. That is just fantastic, because you can see a complete different type of character just emerging from the rules that didn't have to explicitly be mentioned. He's a little defensive, sitting back there with his grizzlies behind the building, trying to use his satellite uplink to start raining hell on distance. And I got my commander and my 2IC and the XO, and they're just moving forward and getting stuff done. And I make do on that threat, moving the XO up forward with his grenade launcher, ready to make a threat against the Jaguar that decided to hole his head around the corner of the building, and he's going to start paving the way, creating a bit of a speed bump so that nobody can flank the Drake and allow the Spitting Cobra to hold on to the objective on the hill. The GP Cadre begins moving up through the city area, hunkering down behind a burnt-out tank, moving from one side of the building, one side to the other, and they don't have to worry about defensive fire so much. So that's great. They're just darting from one side to the other. Damaged Jaeger manages to jump over the hedge and get real aggressive. He's going to try to hold down the flank on the northern end, as I do believe a Jaguar is up there threatening the objective and threatening to flank the rest of the units altogether. And for the ESE, the plan is in action, as indirect fire has proved to be a bit of a dud against a bunch of collective gears. They've moved forward, taken the center town, and given an opportunity for the Drake to show its stuff. Will it? Let's find out. Butt wheel! Yeah, I mean, you say it a couple times and it stops being funny, but it is popular within the civilian media, probably because it has a butt wheel.
Lead-based growl remover. Apply directly to the face. 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 Available wherever high explosives are sold. Call now!
It's got a butt. It's made of rubber! Yeah, it's a ferret. And I can't sing. It's turn 2, and the ESE takes the initiative, and now you're going to see a strange part of the list dichotomy when I take 2 formations and he takes 1. So I initially activate the Strike Cadre, moving forward the Drake to finish off those gears out there, opening up with the HRP again, dusting them off with complete prejudice, and then allowing the rest of the gears to move forward. Again, the 2IC begins opening up with grenade launchers. He had to spend 2 actions to make a double move to get out there into the woods, and now he's just going to plaster and punish the guy right in front of him. Again, we got to clear out these guys just as fast as possible. We're not trying to take the objective over there, but we need to keep them from moving back over to the other side to stop the GP Cadres from herding up the center road. 2IC does manage to light him up, doing quite a few boxes of armor damage, but doesn't quite get to the hull, which is necessary to hurt him in a game of the Alpha rules right now. And if he was a person, the Spitting Cobra would have made Jack Diddley very happy, because he does it quite well, managing to whiff everything on his glory shot. He had everything lined up for him, and he manages to whiff it all. And with that, now the North gets to move their 1 squad, which is everything. And they begin pushing forward, trying to pay that dividend for the mistake that I made of not killing everyone immediately. And again, this is where the change in command and skill points start coming in, because the 2IC generates his own, or at least in his own squad, he has his own command points to start issuing out to his own troops, or to himself. Plus, he has his extra skill point just to throw at himself. So it's just fantastic. And he starts trying to light him up, trying to put a lot of fire into those woods. Can't quite do it. He moves another gear out into the open, but unfortunately the Drake already snap fired at the gears trying to offend the 2IC. So he ends up managing to pop around at the Drake out in the open. This would have been devastating in the old Blitz version, but because of the shield and because it's just awesome now, it does nothing. Just nothing. You might think it might have been something because I put a die next to it. No, I put the die next to it because I need to remember he has a skill point. So he can re-roll something if he wants to. My buddy Defler starts reconsidering his options. He has now lost 2 gears, crippled quite a few others on the southern side, and he doesn't have a whole lot to show for it. He begins moving the Jaguar in the northern end, trying to punish the Jaeger that is hidden behind the metal building up there, but he can't quite seem to make it do. He does a couple boxes of damage to it with its Mac, but doesn't quite put it down. The army commander swings aside, again jumping across the street, something you would never do in Blitz with that many unused actions down there on the other end of the street, and he finds another hiding spot on the other side of the building, from which he's able to move the Grizzly out, keep them all within auto comm, and then start blasting away down the street, allowing the Grizzly to let their presence felt directly. But my commander's there, and he's like, "You get up now!" Yeah, I got command points to spend, and even though he's throwing high explosives over and over again against those guys, the Jaegers hold on for dear life. While on the southern end, we managed to hold the objective for another turn, and we're putting a whole lot of pressure on the southern end because what was just a denial has now turned into a potential rout. We can actually take the objective if we play our cards right and don't get too greedy and just let the dice fall. Now, the ESE commander, in addition to letting all his own troops survive, is constantly moving up, hiding behind cover, moving forward, spotting the Grizzly, pointing him out, giving him an order to all the other Jaegers nearby, and saying, "Screw that guy!" And they just keep throwing lack round after lack round into him, pushing them forward. The commander's doing everything he can to coordinate the fire against that Grizzly out there in the open. That is an impressive machine at this point. We just dump all the rounds that we can at it, hopefully to do something, and we finally, because whenever you coordinate fire now, you just get a number of chits in accordance with the comms roll against it, and then you can just keep using those as if they were command points to re-roll anything shooting at them. So even though it's just a lack or a Mac that's hitting the Grizzly, I have so many re-rolls that I can just force one of the statistical oddities to come out of those dice and finally do some damage. We start chipping it away, much like the other Grizzly that managed to accidentally catch a bazooka to the face. We managed to do some damage to it as well. And they are both damaged somewhat. They are still in fighting trim, though. We turn around the Jaeger that was being threatened by the Jaguar, and he opens up with his lack, completely devastates the Jaguar. We move the rest of the Jaegers forward after taking their shots what they can, and we start laying into the Grizzly as hard as we can. We need to put that thing down, but you only have so many shots in a turn. Defler activates. He takes the snub nose or bazooka off of the hunter down there in the open, tries to take another shot at the Drake, but because of his skill point and the shield, it bounces, doing absolutely no damage. And because his leader is too far away to issue a command point and he's out of command with the rest of his own formation, he gets nothing. There's nothing he can do about it. So the UMFA have a situation forming. Their command chain has started falling apart. Their units are spread out just a little thin, while my commander is just coordinating everyone, keeping things tight. It's making them vulnerable to high explosive attacks, but hey, the last one didn't hit right. We'll be fine. And then the Grizzly opens up on him. You know, you might want to just take a look at the statistics of it, but the Grizzly moves out into the open, opens up with its rocket packs again. It looks like it's going to be safe, but no, the rounds land. Devastating. Jaeger after Jaeger after Jaeger. The commander even buys it, and chaos starts falling into the command chain as unfortunately the entire center element vaporizes under the couple shots from some of the Grizzlies. Oh, it's devastating. I mean, we did everything that we can. The command chain's broken down. We have 2 Jaegers left out there, one with a rocket pack, the other one with, I do believe, a LAC, and they do what they can to hold the center. But the LAC eventually gets ripped up as his commander decides to take the issue into his own hands and starts shooting at him from around the corner. Meanwhile, on the southern end, the North gets aggressive. We only have a couple gears out there to stop them, but they're badasses. So he moves out there, and it's just going to leave him in the open during my own activation. I move people forward. I start getting really cautious about it. We open up with the grenade launcher, devastate the Jaguar that we hurt before, finally killing, leaving him just with a Hunter out there in the open and a Drake and a Spitting Cobra to deal with him. Of course, the Spitting Cobra manages to do absolutely jack diddly once again. Well, he hurts him just a little, but he doesn't kill him, and that's what's important. Drake moves forward, gets into the back arc of the Hunter, and melee has been vastly revamped. He raises his leg, gets close to him, and steps on him, firing the spike on him and killing him outright. And that's when we called the game. It was pretty clear what was going to happen. He had nothing but damaged gears, and a Drake was about to just light up the 2 damaged Grizzlies, and there was nothing he can really do about it. We called the game right there, 3-0. But to be honest, it could have been a 4-0 if I just remembered to leave somebody behind at the objective I had since turn 1. Which offers something new for a GP squad to do. It's just a placeholder. It's a mixed value there. It's kind of cool. I look forward to more games with the Alpha rule set. It plays a lot faster when we got into it, and the game just felt more fair. There was very little shenanigans that seemed completely broken, and in his case, he just deployed a little too widely. He could have used extra command out there to take care of the Drake, but really, things just went south real fast. And that's been an Ouchies Batrep, and thanks for watching.